What would you say if I told you that there was a Batman TV show out there where the Riddler didn't do any riddles or set up any traps or any elaborate plans? A show, in fact, in which his nickname was because he kept shooting up storefronts rather than have anything to do with riddles. And what if I told you further that in this very self-same show, the Joker is an utterly cold, emotionless, and humorless individual that is famed for his calculating, well-timed plans and German accent? You'd probably call me a liar, or at the very least tell me to shut the fuck up because you know where this is going. And that's right. We are going to talk now about the second season of the worst Batman TV show ever produced, The Caped Crusader, which slipped quietly onto the internet with justifiable shame from Amazon's side. No fanfare, no interviews talking about the bold new direction of Batman by turning Mr. Freeze into a black guy with a dick for a head, or any preamble at all. Clearly, Amazon was preparing to pass gas in a crowded train and wasn't quite sure if what they had in the chamber was indeed a bit of stinky or a big, wet shit. And in Amazon's defense, whilst there is most assuredly some fecal matter in the pipeline, it is majoritively gas this time around, as Batman Caped Crusader Season 2 is only the second worst Batman show ever produced, as it is in fact better than Season 1. Which could and should have been renamed The Adventures of Barbara Gordon and Detective Montoya. And that really is the only thing that makes Season 2 better than the first one as well. Namely, that Batman actually features in the second season as a main character. What a wild notion for the Caped Crusader to actually have a standout role in his own television series, and yet here we are, as Barbara Gordon and Wyan Toya are ruthlessly sidelined. Of course, Barbara Gordon is still an unquestionable angel of unfathomable purity, to the point where the man she was partially responsible for killing returns to her not to kill her, as he'd previously gone on a murderous rampage throughout Gotham, but rather to beg for his forgiveness because he understands that she is the closest thing to Jesus Christ on this godforsaken world. And not only, by the way, is Batman actually featured in his own television series, he even gets a handful of toys, a Bat glider and a Bat aeroplane. Okay, so he gets the exact same toy, but one has an engine. And the dearth of gadgets continues from Season 1. That was one of my primary complaints, that here you are in the 1940s, with a perfect opportunity to really show Batman being ahead of the times, developing brand new toys, gadgets, and technologies to really make use of the beginning of an age of massive technological innovation, and he just doesn't. The only time he reaches into his utility belt to retrieve something that isn't a smoke bomb or a batarang is when he needs to unfreeze himself after Dr. Cockhead here had decided to turn him into a bat popsicle. A predicament that the Batman yet again needs saving from by an 11-year-old girl, as Carrie Kelly comes back yet again, and this time she's dressed up as a vigilante. Who? The Batman? The very person she saved in the first season? Of course not. He's a pathetic failure that needs repeated help from a child. No, she's dressed up as the Grey Ghost, of course, and boy, whilst there still isn't enough Batman in Batman the Animated Series in 2026, it sure is stuffed full of references to previous Batman shows, as they seem to have put far more effort into scouring the Wikipedia for reference material rather than getting any other element of Batman correct. And obviously we have the usual series of race and gender swaps, with the first one appearing on screen within 30 seconds of the show's beginning, where the Mad Hatter is now a woman. Ah, yes, the person incapable of finding love and is obsessed with Alice in Wonderland, a mildly twisted romantic tale at the best of times, has been turned into a female. You know what? That is actually kind of weirdly fitting. A racially confused female as well, as she changes skin color something like 3 times over the course of the show. We see her initially and she is clearly supposed to be a brown woman, then in the middle of the show she develops a very light complexion, and then finally in the show again she becomes browner, but still not as brown as in the first scene. I'm guessing that her makeup crew just really sucks at their job, as obviously the Mad Hatter, whilst not being in possession of any sort of mind control technology or anything like that, you know, the thing that gave the Mad Hatter his name, she is now a podcaster, an evil podcaster, because, well, all podcasters are evil. They're pushing back on the well-established cultural narrative of the people who produce as cockhead Mr. Freeze. I mean, they must be villains, obviously. As yes, Mr. Freeze is a giant black guy in this show, who doesn't actually have any other aspect of Mr. Freeze's backstory whatsoever. Instead, he's just a mildly pervy black man who likes turning people into ice statues for reasons that are never really explained. He just really gets off on it. Also, technically, he's not Mr. Freeze, he's Mr. Zero, which is the version of Mr. Freeze before Batman the Animated Series made him a million times better. Imagine that. Back in the day, we actually improved upon characters' backstories rather than just giving them a new skin complexion. And of course, he's not the only one, as we also get reintroduced to another old fan favorite that was criminally underutilized in the old show, Roxy Rocket, the thrill-seeking, foxy criminal from the animated series, and a brief guest appearance in Superman, the animated show as well. Except here, she's not a thrill-seeking maniac, she's a brilliant scientist. A brilliant black scientist, of course, that invented shit the world has never seen before, including infinite energy in brick format. Unfortunately, she is simply just too strong, too smart, too independent, and too morally pure for those disgusting white men who work alongside her. And so they try to kill her and steal her invention. Ah, the plight of the poor genius black woman who just wants to utilize her knowledge for the betterment of humanity. Then, after she blows herself into smithereens, preventing, well, a harmless rocket launch at the end of the day that could easily have been dealt with in a myriad of other ways. Oh well, anyways, she's a genius. The Batman decides to simply destroy all of her inventions and blueprints because such unrivaled female genius will never be used properly in the hands of mere mortal men. Alfred Pennyworth even points out, you know, Bruce, this is some amazing tech right here. Literally infinite fucking energy. That could be used for some pretty incredible stuff in the right hands. And Batman goes, oh, and what hands are those? I don't know, Mr. Brucey boy. Yours, perhaps? You are in dire needs of technological inventions, seeing as the most high-tech solution you come up with in this entire show is having Alfred record a television show by filming the screen. And hey, if you can't trust your own disgusting melanin-lacking white hands with this brilliant black technology, you do have another genius black man working for you, Lucius Fox, who is, for reasons I'm sure will shock you, allowed to remain both black and male. Granted, that second part is a bit surprising, and that's probably why he couldn't be entrusted with this genius science as well. He has a penis, And it, as we all know, corrupts infinitely. But we haven't even gotten to the main villain of the season, the Riddler. Edward Nygma, Nygma, which should have been a hint towards the writers of the show that he's supposed to do something with riddles and questions and elaborate traps, you know, an enigma. However, they bravely and boldly decided to ignore the entirety of the Riddler's established character and history and simply make him into a crazed retard gangster with absolutely no strategic or tactical acumen whatsoever that simply goes around the city shooting up everything with a Tommy gun, and that is how he got his name as the Riddler. Not for riddles, but for riddling storefronts with bullets. You know, the moment I saw him on screen, screaming, wielding a Tommy gun, I made a note to myself. The Riddler is nothing but a dumb gangster who doesn't do riddles. And then I deleted that note because I thought to myself, nah, there's no way that prediction holds up. There's no way he's gonna do something. He's gonna be twisted by the Batman into becoming the Riddler. No. He remains an absolute unbalanced idiot throughout the entire show, never displaying even the slightest hint of intelligence or ability for planning. In fact, Batman even describes him later as, no, Nygma isn't a planner, he's an opportunist. Oh, boy. At least we can take some small solace in the fact that he is then brutally murdered by Poison Ivy. Yeah, not the Batman. The Batman never catches him. Never. The crazy criminal whose entire strategy is burst firing random shops in the city center, who leaves a trail of bodies 6 feet deep everywhere he goes, who has countless of his own criminal gangers hating him and ready to turn on him at the slightest provocation, the brilliant Bat Detective can't quite figure out how to catch him or reveal his plans or location. Oh no, that's simply just too goddamn clever of an operator for the Batman. But it is, of course, a facile challenge for a strong woman. Oh, yes. Poison Ivy, who is the mentally deranged double of a kinda gentler woman named Rose, she manages to figure out the Riddler's frequent haunts within, well, a single night. Then she seduces him, earns his favor and trusts, drags him off to the flower shop where he killed her father, and executes him via Tommy gun, all in the course of about, 48 hours. If only Batman was a woman in this show. You know, I'm saying that somewhat unironically. If he'd been a woman, he would have been infinitely more competent. He might actually catch some criminals here and there without explicit aid by the female criminals around him. He needs help from Harley Quinn to catch another criminal, of course. Duh. And hey, he might even be able to save the lives of some of the people he's supposed to be rescuing too, as this is a legendarily incompetent Batman. People, civilians, and criminals all around him just goddamn keep dying. Largely because the Batman is not very good at his job. Let's just throw the Batman out, okay? It would make all of us significantly happier. I wouldn't need to worry about his entire character being utterly destroyed and ruined by a bunch of people who evidently hate him, and we could get a competent main character as well. Everybody wins, as, you know what? Poison Ivy's actually kind of decently done in this one. Sure, she has the manliest jawline of any character in the series, and her body is based more on that of a trans man than an actual female, but it's 2026. That's pretty normal. Get with the time, bro. And she actually does behave in a successfully seductive way, not simply using chemicals, but actually getting into the Riddler's good graces and making him trust her. spiritually speaking, she's probably the most accurate character in the show, which is a little sad to say. Especially as she's only actually in a single episode, after which she decides to leave Gotham, having murdered the Riddler and all. How does she do this? Well, she buys a train ticket. Straight up, just buys a train ticket. And the genius master detective that is Batman decides that's just gonna be way too goddamn hard to track down for him. He has no opportunities here. He is hopelessly outmatched by the brilliance of his opposition, and so all he can do is shake his fist at the sky and go, if she ever returns, then I'll do something about it. Thank God Gotham has such a vigilant guardian angel. Otherwise it would be in a lot of trouble considering the number of criminals showing up. Speaking of criminals, by the way, not due to Batman in any way whatsoever, their numbers are actually dropping off rather drastically. The Mad Hatter, dead. The Riddler, dead. Mr. Freeze, dead. Thorn, dead. Two-Face, dead as well. It really is rather impressive that Gotham manages to maintain such a sky-high crime rate when all of its bad guys are consistently murdered. Even the Joker, who is introduced partially throughout the show and then mainly featured in the last 2 episodes, is killed off by Batman, who just casually violates his no-kill rule like it's no big deal. Oh, and by the way, as I'm sure this argument will appear frequently on the more retarded edges of the internet, 1, no, Batman meant to do that. The Batarang was supposed to be dodged and then twirl around to cut the cord, after which the Joker is impaled through the chest by a massive piece of steel rebar. And no, despite the fact that he goes, all according to plan, and jumps off the roof into the fog beneath, unless there's a fully staffed, powered 3000 AD surgical staff waiting for him on a flying helicarrier down there, the man is dead. And you know what? That's a good thing. See, I've been a vehement defender of the no-kill rule for a very long time because Batman is supposed to be a superhero. A superhero always finds some other way to get things done. That's what makes him super. A regular hero could put a bullet in the Joker's head and never look back. In fact, it would be the sensible thing to do, but a superhero needs to go the extra mile. He needs to try to actually save the Joker as well as his victims. In the case of the Caped Crusader, however, considering the slew of bodies he leaves in his wake through sheer incompetence, frankly, killing a criminal, that's a step up. That's him actually intending to murder someone merely than doing it by accident. It even gives him a shot at being compared favorably to Poison Ivy, who is by far the superior detective of the two. And nothing is lost with the death of this Joker. Just like the Riddler, he's not a Joker character. He is deadly serious at all times, utterly cold, emotionless, and humorless, calculating and perfectly timed, only using Joker gas and the smile gas poison as, well, I don't even know, really. Doesn't seem to make any sense that he'd be using it. He's the very definition of anti-humorous. He speaks with a fucking German accent, which lends a certain weight to the gas usage, I do suppose, but not really a jokery one. Additionally, apparently he's here in Gotham to teach Brother Batman a lesson. Why is he trying to teach Brother Batman a lesson? Nobody really seems to know. Not the developers, not Batman, not the Joker, not Gotham PD, not anybody seems to quite know why the heck he's doing this. And the best part is, he's complaining that Batman just has a little bit too much mercy in his soul. Oh, the Batman's good, don't get me wrong, despite his countless failures and his inability to be a detective in any shape or form, but he's very good. But Joker is here to make him perfect by making sure he learns how to kill, which, well, mission successful, I suppose, as within a very short span of time, he manages to get Batman to try and kill him. And heck, it's not like the Batman's putting up much of a struggle either. When he impales the Joker through the chest with a piece of rebar, he doesn't look horrified, or like, oh my god, I didn't mean to do that. No, that was Keikaku Dori right there. That was just as planned. He doesn't concern himself with it. Afterwards, he keeps looking for a body, absolutely convinced that he put the Joker in the ground, and would have if this wasn't a goddamn cartoon. In fact, a parody of a cartoon. But no, Batman is more than happy to kill people, self-evidently, and he has no problems whatsoever forgiving murderers either, as he works together with Harley Quinn like it's nothing. He lets Poison Ivy get away without even expending the slightest bit of effort to catch her. Even Harley, Batman doesn't turn her in, he simply trusts that she'll do the right thing, which, for reasons unbeknownst to anyone, she does. Heck, in the previous season, Batman was seriously considering just putting a bullet in Dent, so this entire storyline that the Joker is like, hey, Batman, you're pretty good, but I gotta teach you how to kill, makes no sense. This Batman does not appear to have any real hesitation about murder, and when he does commit it, he doesn't really seem to care. He snuffs out the Joker with the same facial expression of a man stepping on an ant. And why wouldn't he look like that? Whereas the Joker seems to imply and act as if there's some sort of long-standing rivalry between himself and Batman, which of course there is, but not in this series. Batman himself seems mildly bemused and befuddled by why this random person shows up, calling him brother and teaching him how to kill. It feels like there was some serious rewriting going on during the development of this second season, which is probable, seeing as the first season didn't focus on Batman at all, instead taking all of its time setting up a supporting cast that is now utterly absent from the second season, indicating that they were probably going for a very different kind of second season, with a much heavier focus on probably Harley Quinn, Montoya, and Barbara. Oh, and by the way, Harley Quinn lives, and she's picked up by Montoya for reasons unbeknownst to anyone, who risks her life, career, and everything in order to keep Harley Quinn chilling in her apartment for a while. Again, we don't really know why, but that simply just happened. That was probably a part of a much larger plot line that they'd originally intended to do, focusing more on Poison Ivy and on Harley Quinn rather than Batman. But due to the massive backlash for the first season, they, and this is to their credit, decided to actually put Batman inside of their Batman show. Which does lead to a better Batman show. I wasn't kidding. This is a better season than the first, if only slightly, because now it is actually a Batman television series about Batman. A poor man's version of Batman, an incompetent Batman, and clearly not a very good detective Batman, but at the very least about Batman. If they continue in this path, then we might actually see the third worst Batman show the next time around. Though, considering the fact that this season was slipped out the doors with so little fanfare, so few announcements, and no hype whatsoever, I imagine Amazon is beginning to cut their losses. And unless they've yet again repeated the remarkable era of Rings of Power and signed up for a plethora of seasons before actually seeing the first one, this might very well be the last time we see the Caped Crusader in his current incarnation. Oh, if only we are so lucky. But even if it is a slightly better series than the first season, it still isn't very good. Unless you are absolutely starving for Batman, I would say avoid this at all costs. And if you are starving, then I highly suggest you go watch Beware the Batman instead, a show that nobody watched and died almost immediately. It is possessed of some remarkably crude early 2010s CGI, and, well, it's not good either. It's still better than Caped Crusader. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.